All right. And we're going. Music. And we're back with another Nick and Adam show. And guess what we're talking about today, boys and girls? Spider-Man. Not Homecoming. Not the other one.
Is it Far Away?
Far From Home. Yeah, sorry.
Ah.
We are talking about No Way Home today, boys and girls. Adam, go.
All right. Spider-Man Far From Home. If you've seen my initial review on this, just a quick first impression. I was blown away. In fact, I'm going to probably see this again Christmas Eve morning.
Yeah, I'm
movie.
I'm trying to make plans to go see it again also.
Okay, so the thing is like they were trying to tackle a multiverse, an idea of a multiverse. I don't know if you remember that movie One with Jet Li.
Yes. Yep.
That was like a one and done, but that was a damn good movie.
Yeah, that was a fun movie.
Yeah, but it didn't have to do what Spider-Man Far From Home had to do. There was some fucking heavy lifting in that. Pardon my French. And not only did it do it, it did it well and beyond well. I mean, I have to throw out like all the fun I had with it and all of the joy it brought me while I was in it, and just like from an objective standpoint, all film is subjective. And again, all film is subjective. Everybody's welcome to their own opinion, but in my opinion, that could be one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. There's always a great comic book movie, and then something comes along and it surpasses what was there, and that does it.
Yeah, I hate to throw the term around perfect because it gets thrown around too much, but and I'm gonna have to wait a little bit to find out if it is perfect. But as of right now, it's in that rarefied air where you might just call this movie one of it's up there already with one of the best comic book movies, if not the best comic book movie, and definitely in that almost. I don't want to call it right now, but it's damn near perfect. So, but let's do some quick.
Well, I got one little thing to add on to
Sure.
that. Okay, so not the Eternals, it was ambitious,
Right.
and at the end of the day, it was just above mediocre.
Right.
They hit the ball, they had a win, but they didn't have a home run, they didn't have a shutout. Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home was ambitious, and its execution and its result exceeded its ambition, and that is hard to do.
Yeah, is absolutely as ambitious as it was, it completely knocked it out of the park. So let's go over IMDb real quick. So the director is John Watts, and he directed the trilogy, the Tom Holland trilogy. And we are going to get into spoilers, but we're not going to get into spoilers at this moment. We will let you know when that does happen. So top cast,
Okay.
Tom Holland, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, Jacob Italian as Ned. We got Jon Favreau. So,
Do you know Ned is the Hobgoblin?
What?
Ned is the Hobgoblin.
Oh, I wonder if that's what they were. Spoilers later. But anyway, so gross, box office gross. So Adam, what was like the top thing so far this year? Was it Carnage that held the opening weekend record?
Yeah, Let There Be Carnage not only broke records, but it broke records in like non-pandemic form.
Right.
So it wasn't just like, hey, it broke records for being in a pandemic. No, it just flat out broke records for an opening weekend.
And I think domestically, I think it was somewhere. Was it 50 million for the weekend? And then like the first week, I think it made like 80 million, somewhere around there. So, so this movie completely destroyed everything. The U.S. gross was 297 million.
297 million in the United States alone.
Gross worldwide 638 million. It's and we're recording this on Tuesday after the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
It's easily gonna be $1 billion movie. Easily.
It hasn't even been out for 7 days yet.
Yeah,
It's been out for 5.
it didn't even get really one of those, those holiday opening weekends where they kind of start like on a Tuesday. No, this started, it started on Thursday, but through the weekend it just blew everything out of the water.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was like dropping like a bowling ball into a bucket of water. Just nothing but displacement.
just it literally just destroyed everything. And it kind of blows another thing out of the water is, oh, the pandemic is keeping people at home. No, that's not what's keeping people at home. It's bad stories are keeping people at home.
Yeah, it's
Bad movies are keeping people at home.
oh man, there was this Rick. I can't remember his name, but he's a director who only directs like the high end Oscar whatever movies or long dramas or whatever.
The movies that no one watches.
Yeah, the movies that no one watches. But all of his other like colleagues who shoots movies like that were shitting on Spider-Man. And you know what? This is what he said. He goes, "This is good for all of us." He's like, "We want people." He goes, "We want people to come back to the theaters. Do you want to know who's going to save the theaters? Spider-Man."
Well, that's why Spider-Man has, since the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, has been referred to as the tent pole. This is a tent pole franchise, which means it literally holds up the entire industry. Movies like this, it holds up the industry.
Oh yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts. This is what holds up the industry. Not the artsy fartsy movies that win Oscars that people don't watch. This is what people watch, and this is why there's that disconnect between Hollywood, because at the end of the year when they give out their trophies to everybody, for movies that I haven't heard of, but everybody's like, I have heard of Spider-Man, Iron Man, Superman, Batman.
And those movies pay for those other movies to be made.
It's the only reason. It's literally the only reason those movies can even be made is because of movies like this.
Yes, I agree. I mean, you could even throw it back into the 80s and say Muppets Take Manhattan is the reason you were able to make your Oscar caliber movie back then, because your studio had the money to throw at you.
Oh yeah, the Jaws, Star Wars. I'll even throw some of the Star Trek movies in there. Those were moneymakers.
So that's an interesting dichotomy right there with the Star Trek movies. And we're pushing aside the first one because I can't speak about that one. And not that that's a movie right there where the idea was good, but the execution was bad. So let's just talk Wrath of Khan through Undiscovered Country. Star Trek movies always made a set amount of money. They just did, but it was always profitable.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like maybe Star Trek 4 was a little quirky and a little bit. Hey, we want to do Star Trek 5 though. Okay, greenlit, no problem. Bring me that check so that I can go make this, and that. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, you make movies that people actually want to go see, and then you can make your artsy movies.
Right.
That's how directors do it in Hollywood, because that's how they make their pet projects, by making movies that make money. And then they take that extra money, and then they can go make their artsy fartsy movie, or the movie that is their quote unquote pet project.
Exactly.
So anyway, all right, Adam. There were so many rumors coming into this one about who was going to be in it, who wasn't going to be in there, and you know what? Screw it. We're putting on the spoiler ad right now.
Thank you, God.
So it was confirmed. So let's go down the list, actually. So we had Charlie Cox first.
Fuck yeah, Charlie Cox was in it. Did you see the photograph from Hawkeye?
No.
I'm not. I haven't watched the last two episodes yet, so I'm not sure if this is a leaked photograph or it's in it. All right, my nephew's here. He's saying it's in it. He's seen him. Vincent D'Onofrio, the Kingpin, is in Hawkeye.
No, and that's one of the things that I love what Sony is doing. They're bringing it all together. They're bringing the Netflix together, the Netflix Marvel, the Sony Marvel, some of the even the MCU elements they're bringing together. I'm very excited for what they're doing.
Yeah, big time. And I'll say this: we're going into spoiler territory, so maybe we ought to talk about the spoilers first. Okay, so I'll say what I got to say later. I'll make a note of it. But so we got Charlie Cox. How awesome was it when the brick came through the window and he was like, "Ch-" and he caught it?
Oh, that was great because even, Tom Holland, he's like, what, what, and
Yeah.
so that's the interesting thing. So they don't even know about each other yet.
Well, he does. Charlie Cox knows. Or
Well, yeah,
Matt Murdock does.
Right, Matt Murdock, but he doesn't know about Daredevil.
Right.
Right.
But Daredevil exists.
Right. Exactly. So
does the Punisher.
that's right. So
Jessica Jones,
Luke
Luke
Cage,
Cage.
Iron Fist. So
You know what would be cool? If they had that friendship between Peter Parker and Luke Cage, like the Spider-Man thing, because they always had an understanding.
well, and we can get into that because of what does happen towards the end. So because there is essentially a whitewashing, but all right. So we're leaving off of No Way Home, not No Way. What is it? Far From Home. At the end of Far From Home, it's leaked that everybody knows who Peter Parker is.
Right.
Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and so it's one of those you love him or hate him type of things. And there's a whole bunch of we believe in. Is it Mephisto? Mysterio. Sorry, I just get those mixed up. Fishbowl. We believe in Fishbowl. So there's a lot of he's getting a lot of hate from one side. He's getting support from the other, and it's almost like one of those. I have to be like, do you not remember what the guy did? But it leaves right off of Far From Home.
I'm sorry. You just said. You know why? What you just said is. Have you finished? Have you been watching Hawkeye?
Not all of it, no.
He'll be going around. People will be like, "Thank you for saving the world."
Right? Yeah.
And they're like, "Peter Parker's
Parker.
a piece of crap."
Yeah, get you some of that.
Yeah.
Thanks, New York. So, and obviously J. Jonah Jameson is all over it. The Daily Bugle, all that stuff.
I hate him.
I love J.K. Simmons, though. God, he plays that part so good.
But that's why I hate him. You know what I mean? It's like he's a damn good actor.
Right.
I don't like him.
Right, exactly. All right, so Spider-Man's in deep trouble because everybody knows who he is.
Right.
And one of the things that I thought was interesting, but they laid it on really thick, is so now they really focused on what the teenagers were trying to really move on with their lives. All they're concerned about is getting into MIT and together and going to the school. And I'm talking about MJ and Ned, of course. So they're all trying to go to this. They're all trying to move on with their lives, trying to do what teens do, go on to college. And as it turns out, because they're even just associated with Peter Parker, essentially they can't go anywhere. They can't go
Their
to
lives are destroyed because
their futures essentially gone because they are friends with Peter Parker. So that devastates Peter Parker. So he goes and visits our friend Benedict Cumberbatch, also known as Doctor Strange, and he has a plan to make the whole world forget who he is.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because is it Wong? Wong's like, don't do that. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and that hit me in the gut pretty hard. I was like, why is Wong the Sorcerer Supreme? And then they come right out with it. I was blipped for 5 years.
Yeah, I was gone for 5 years, guys. Oh, he's like on a technicality. Uh, so, but Doctor Strange, being Doctor Strange, says, "Yeah, no, let's do it." So they go into the basement, fire up the spells. He starts going, but at the same time, Peter's like, "Wait, so MJ's not going to remember me? Ned's not going to remember me? Aunt May's not going to remember me?" He's like, "Yeah, but you got to let me know," because he's keep trying to cast the spell and keeps changing, and eventually you see the whole thing just kind of falls apart.
Right, it collapses.
Yeah.
It expands, collapses, and then he has to contain the spell, like within, like a little, I don't know.
So and you can see the actual storyline or the lines actually overlap, and you hear Doctor Strange. You even hear in the trailer saying, some things have gotten through. I couldn't keep it all together, right?
Right. Didn't they bust that the box or whatever? Wasn't it the goblin who busted the box?
Yeah, but that was later.
Okay, so you're talking about some things got through, couldn't contain it, and everybody who knew who Peter Parker was or Spider-Man was coming through.
Yeah. So and the first thing that we see that it comes through, and I'm so happy he came back for this, was our friend Alfred Molina reprising his role of
Doc
Ock, and because I love that so much. And I'll tell you what, man, if you are a fan, and this is going slightly off point, if you're a fan of just all the different Spider-Man costumes, this is a movie for you.
Oh man, it is. It really is. Well, we're not to that point yet.
No, I say, but I was just as I was going through my pictures there, I was like, oh man, there's a lot to talk about. So the first thing he encounters is Doc Ock on the bridge, as actually he's trying to go talk to the admissions lady,
right,
about trying to get Ned and MJ back in the MIT. So, and
he does,
and he does, but he also goes, "Wait a second, there's something different about you, Peter Parker, right?" Mm-hmm. And he gets his mask off, and he's like, "You're not my Peter." He's like,
"You're not Peter Parker."
Yeah, you're not Peter Parker. So,
I was like, "Hello, Peter."
Alfred Molina is so good in just about everything he does, but man, especially this, I love. I'm such a fan of when he literally like everything he's done from. What was he in Raiders of the Lost Ark? That was like one
movie that didn't need Indiana Jones at all.
Yeah, well, that's most of them. But yeah,
dude, that was regardless of that little plot hole. That's a great movie. Oh, and yeah. I didn't know Alfred Molina. Who is Alfred Molina?
He's one. He's like one of the first guys in the very beginning who, once he escapes the giant ball, and he runs out there, he's like he actually steals the thing from him, and then he ends up with all the spikes, getting all the poison darts and everything.
Oh shit!
He's that guy.
Okay.
But so what happens is, and so he's wearing the Iron Man suit, and the nanotech actually takes over his octopus arms.
Yeah, he had an inhibitor chip that when he was trying to have the power of the sun in the palm of his hand, he was trying to make the fusion reactor work at Oscorp. It collapsed on him, and then when everything went to shit, it shocked or melted his inhibitor chip, and so then the AI in the octopus arms crawled into his brain, sort of thing.
Yeah, but then the Stark tech ended up taking him over, and Peter actually ends up controlling the arms.
How awesome was that?
That was funny. He's like, "Wait a second, what is going on?" And he's like, and Peter starts moving the arms and stuff. So
yeah, he's like, "So you're staying put until I know you're not going to try to kill me." Yeah. The Stark technology alone was like Tony's still winning
Yeah.
from beyond the grave.
Yep. Still kicking.
Yep.
So and then we eventually find Sandman,
Sandman.
Electro,
Yep.
and all Jamie Foxx is back. And forgive me, who's the actor who portrays Sandman?
Oh, guy from Wings.
Right, exactly.
The guy from Wings plays Sandman.
Come on here.
I think he's got like 3 names. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, my wife would know. You're right, Thomas Hayden Church. So
Thomas Hayden Church. Yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church is back. Reese Effens is back as Dr. Kirk Connors as the Lizard. And I think that's all the big baddies that come back besides the man
Dafoe.
himself, Willem Dafoe, who's so good. Well, I saw a meme earlier that was like Willem Dafoe, who was amazing, in the first Spider-Man movies, but somehow is better in 2021. And
He was way more evil.
oh, it was so good.
Dude, it was crazy. He was way more evil.
So what happens is obviously they realize the multiverse is open, and they got to get these guys back to their universes, but they realize once they send them back, all these guys are going to die, because that's what their fate was in the other universes.
If you send them back, they all die fighting Spider-Man. And Tom Holland, Peter Parker was okay with that. I was okay with that. Let's wrap it up. We got a good movie. We saved the world. Good deal. That was a good, fun 25 minutes of film.
Right.
That's how I make movies.
Be like, they're evil. We're good. Let's do this. Let's kill them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome Mr. Patrick Bone to the Nick and Adam Show. Patrick, what'd you think, man?
I loved it, every bit.
Wait,
There's only like
pause. Okay.
only like 2 things I could say that I could be done better, but other than that, it was like 11 out of 10 movie for me. I loved it.
So we didn't quite get there. We're almost there to the big reveal, which is pretty much like the worst kept secret in all of cinema history. We got all 3 Spider-Men back.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you think, how are they going to juggle all 3 Spider-Men? And Patrick, how do you think they did by doing that?
So, like you said, the worst kept secret. Yeah, I kind of already knew.
Everybody knew.
Yeah, but I think they did it really well, because to me, when I thought they were going to be in it, I thought it was going to be some just little fight scene or just like a cameo type deal. But no, we had a ton of awesome fighting, and then just one-on-one time with like 3 people. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, I thought just the interactions were fun. Even they played a little bit on when Toby was talking to Andrew's Spider-Man. He's like, "No, you're amazing. You're amazing, right?"
Yeah.
And it was like, "Okay, we get it. He's the amazing Spider-Man. We got it. Thanks, Toby. We weren't sure, but yeah, I think even the banter back and forth was good. And was it key dangling or jangling, whatever you want to call it, of course, but I think it was done really well. I think it was done it wasn't done in poor taste. It wasn't too much. It was really just excellent. It was just excellently executed. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
What I liked about it, what I thought was what made it meaningful, is this was a Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man. Now, whatever happened to him, he got bit by the radioactive spider. He became Spider-Man. He went out and he did good and all this stuff. But he had never felt the pain of being Spider-Man. Because for all we know, there was no Uncle Ben. And that's what it seems like. And then the worst thing could happen to him or the worst thing that could happen happens. And May dies. And you see the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and like their whole point was, I think he needs us.
right.
And that's how they made it fucking work.
Well, yeah, it was very much. It wasn't cheesy, but it was like you said, it was very much Big Brother esque.
Exactly.
They were like Big Brothers, and you could make the argument that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the most tortured because while we didn't have Uncle Ben, we had Tony Stark, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't forget that. That's right.
So and definitely a big spoiler, Aunt May dies. She gets killed by the Green Goblin. So
And we all thought Tony Stark was his more Uncle Ben moment type deal, but kind of realize now that's his Uncle Ben moment.
yeah, and I know Adam and we were talking a little bit. It bugged me, but like I said, this is completely nitpicking, where Aunt May delivers the famous line, "With great power comes great responsibility." And my only thing was that's Uncle Ben's line. That wasn't fair, but in the context of the movie, in the context of the story, it was incredibly powerful, and like I said, it's strictly just nitpicking on my part.
Did Tony Stark tell him that too?
No,
No,
You sure?
I think I'm very sure.
I mean, if you want me to go watch all the Marvel movies again, I'll do it just for reference. And I don't
No,
wanna, but
I think yeah, he said something to the effect, but he didn't say the exact words.
right.
Yeah.
So and that I think we left off a little bit because we were starting to round up all the bad guys, and so they decided they were gonna, instead of sending them to the deaths, Tom Holland, Peter Parker wants to help them. He wants to try and rehabilitate them in some form or fashion, and this is where you really get to see how evil William Dafoe's character truly is, because he seems like, oh yeah, that's great, and then by the end he ends up being the Judas of the group, because everybody's like not sure, be like, hey kid, are you really trying to help us, or because like Sandman, he's just a street guy who got turned in the sand completely on accident. He's just trying to get back to his daughter no matter what. And Jamie Foxx's character, he doesn't want to go back to being the loser that he was before. So he's like, I don't know. But Alfred Molina was the first one to actually kind of turn the corner when, like you said, because there was the chip that was fried, and Peter Parker fixes it, or actually makes a new one, actually with the Stark Tech once again, with the Stark Tech that Happy just happened to be hoarding in his apartment there.
Right. And I was absolutely enthralled when you never saw the chip not work on Doc Ock. He just got away. He got the hell out of Dodge. And when he shows back up, they're like, oh man, he's not with it. I kind of knew. I was like, he's faking it, and he was.
Right. What do you think, Patrick?
I'm there with you. I think, well, I don't know. I was there with you. I knew he wasn't faking it because they fixed him and he was there, but I didn't think he was faking it. Me and my dad, because we were sitting next to each other watching it, we definitely knew kind of Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, was up to something. I didn't for sure know. I didn't know he was going to be the one that just changed it all. But
well, and sorry to cut you off, but if you know anything about William Dafoe, the man's an amazing actor. And you don't keep him in the box. You let that man chew on the scenery, and he chewed on the scenery, man. When he went,
Yes,
what I was reading in the trivia, they actually, to even make the transformation even worse, they actually gave him prosthetic teeth, like that are more normal, and then they took out the prosthetic teeth so his teeth are a little bit more jacked up. So when he actually transitioned, it's a literal transition. So
he just takes he takes the nice teeth out, and then that comes in.
That's right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And one super quick thing about him also, I loved how they kept him talking to the mask when it was on the dumpster in the alley.
Yep.
Absolutely loved that right out of the first Spider-Man. And just knew it was going to be back tenfold.
Oh,
I love that.
Go ahead.
I love that he smashed the mask. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I was like that. We all knew. We're like later, like 10 years after that movie came out. Yeah, he was awesome. I just wish we could have seen his face. And then you see him in the trailers, and we're like, oh wow, he's back, and like we didn't care that that mask was there. We were like happy, and then we're like, who's that other guy with the hood? And then you watch the movie, he smashes the mask, and we get to see his face the whole time.
Well, that was the thing. Everybody thought that, the power of or the Hobgoblin or Green Goblin character was attached to the mask. That was one of the things that helped him become it. So when he smashed it, everybody's like, "Oh, maybe he's actually not trying to be a bad guy." But no, my man's just mental. He's just crazy. And so when it came right down to it, he was no more Norman Osborn. He was all Green Goblin at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. I like how he called him an elf. It's like some kind of elf. Guy dressed like an elf on a hoverboard or something.
Right. So our big battle culminates at. And did they ever say why they were adding the cap shield to Captain America, or is that just one of those nods to Captain America in the movie?
It was a nod. Yeah.
I think it's just a nod.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, that's weird. Moving on.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, just casually adding something to the Statue of Liberty being Captain America's shield. I don't know why the choice for that happened, but I feel like it was just the nod, honestly.
Yeah, I would say, here's the Captain America. Hey, Peter Parker, up yours. That was like another like screw you, Peter Parker. It's like, okay, so everybody gets love except for Peter Parker, but they did have a big scene where they were in the lab all working together, all the Peters working together, because they kind of bunched up and took their villains and tried to take the steps that they knew how to fix their guys. So
I love it. It's like I got Doc Connors. I fixed him last time. I'm all over this.
yeah, and one of the was it Ned that came in and he's like, Peter, yeah, no, Peter Parker, yeah, that's still the same. We're all the same. He's like, Peter Parker, my friend. He's like, okay, so that was a fun scene, but so the go on.
Did that come out of your wrist?
Yeah. Well, and there was a funny story while Sam Raimi decided to do the web organically.
Okay.
Did you guys ever hear this story? Why he chose it?
I just thought he didn't know Spider-Man.
No, it was like, well, if a teenager can make something so complex as web shooters, like out of his apartment, then he wouldn't be a broke photographer, trying to make it. He'd be, a super, he's a genius creator.
Right.
So he's like, well, let's just make it. This is part of the transformation. So,
Then Mark Webb, he explained that he got over that hurdle pretty well because the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, he just stole the shit.
Yeah.
He just
There we go. Let's get around this one. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not bad. He's a teenager. He broke, he's a vigilante anyway. He broke the law for the good reasons. I really love Dennis Leary in that movie too. I can't say I love Dennis Leary in everything I see him in,
because it's just Dennis Leary as insert character. But yeah,
he was a very good cop.
Yeah,
he was a very good Captain Stacy.
All right, so we get the our big fight scene at the Statue of Liberty, and that's where we get to see where in the trailer you can see like, oh, and it came out in I think it was with the Brazilian trailer where like, oh no, this is where all three Spider-Man actually fight, and so this is where the big fight scene happens, and I was really surprised because since we're opening up the Spider-Verse, I really thought they had a chance I was wondering if they were going to try and work Miles Morales into the universe somehow, and I thought they were going to do it with towards the end where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man actually gets stabbed in the back by Green Goblin.
Oh, hey, I want to see your movie. That's a good idea.
So I was like, oh, they're going to let him die that way. They have an empty Spider-Man universe, but no, he's like, oh, I've been stabbed in the back before. It's fine. It's like, oh, we're just going to shake that off. Okay. like in the Eternals where Circe gets stabbed in the back. They're like, oh, it's fine. No, this happens all the time. I'm like, does no one die by getting stabbed in the back in the Marvel universe anymore? But
ever?
Ever?
Apparently not.
It's good to know that if I get ran through from behind, I'm gonna be just
Yeah,
fine.
it's gonna be just fine. It's gonna miss every single organ. It's gonna be great.
And I was happy that the Spider-Men didn't fight each other.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yes.
They really could have played into that, and I'm really happy they didn't. It was one of those things where they were having a hard time at first because they're used to fighting by themselves.
Oh, that was so great.
And it was funny where Tom Holland's Peter Parker's like, "Well, I was on a team. The Avengers." Be like, "No idea what you're talking about, kid." He's like,
You in a band?
I fought an alien. Oh, I fought an alien too.
In space.
Yeah, he's like,
In space.
Andrew Garfield's like, I never fought an alien, man. I suck.
Right. Oh man.
So, but also that's one of the I think that's one of the ways that they're throwing in Venom because they're like, oh no, Venom's real. Venom's here.
That was a way to drop that freaking symbiote into that universe too.
Yeah, and we'll get into that because that was one of the after credit scenes. But
Actually, Patrick, you're gonna have to take us home on that. I'm banging on the desk again.
how dare
Patrick,
you?
you're gonna have to take us home on that symbiote hive mind.
Oh,
Do you know about the symbiote hive mind?
I do. Yes.
Not you. I know you do. I'm talking about Nick.
I want to hear Patrick talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But do you know about it at all?
No, I want to hear him talk about it.
All right. Yeah. Let us know, Patrick. Tell everybody about the symbiote hive mind.
Alrighty, so the theory is basically in the end of Venom 2, right? The end cutscene where he sees Peter on the TV and Venom is instantly attracted to him, right? It begs the question: why did he get added into that universe? Because only people that have know Spider-Man as like a villain got added to that universe, right?
Right.
So then Venom, right before that, also said there's I think it was 80 billion light years of or whatever of knowledge of hive mind symbiote knowledge. So when Toby was in there, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and the Venom symbiote, that's why he got instantly attracted to Tom Holland's Spider-Man because the hive mind knew from Spider-Man 3.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Good job. Thanks, Patrick.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
gotta be a lot of people trying to figure that one out because I didn't think about it. I didn't be like, well, how would he know people?
Well, I always wondered if he got part of the snap or got part of that whole thing because he's just sitting there and then next thing you know he's there was some type of something happened and everybody's like, what the hell was that?
Right.
So, but that's I'm not sure if that's 100% it, but I hope that sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
So,
Yeah,
uh,
that's what it is.
but talking about the final fight scene, everybody gets defeated. I think Electro gets his electricity taken away. Lizard gets transformed back into the Doctor. Doc Ock kind of did that. What happened with Doc Ock? Did he?
He was
He
fine.
was just
He was
cured.
fine. Okay, yeah, because I know there was one point I think, where he was. Did he fall into the water or am I thinking of something else?
That was the end of the Spider-Man 2.
Okay. Yeah, so, but also talking about the Spider-Man, there's the balance between how they balanced them was really nice because they actually had a redemption arc for Andrew Garfield.
Oh my God, I know.
That was amazing.
So-
I love that.
All right, who wants
No pun intended,
I was-
right?
who wants to take that one? Who wants to take that one?
I do. I love those movies. For as many problems as the second one had, the number one thing that, the only reason you can't call The Amazing Spider-Man 2 a complete bowl of poo looking at itself in the mirror is the relationship between Gwen Stacy, Peter Parker, and the promise that Peter Parker makes to Captain Stacy at the end of the first movie, which was as Captain Stacy was dying, Captain Stacy was like he hated Spider-Man through the whole movie. Once he realized who Spider-Man was and what he was doing and that the whole city depended on him, he was like, all right, we're going to kind of work together, XYZ. And they're on the roof fighting the lizard, and it's cool because Captain Stacy comes up just boom, 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 boom with a shotgun, and he's just shooting the shit out of the lizard. And like Peter doesn't want to leave him there, and he's like, "I got this, Peter. Go, get up there." So Peter gets up onto the tower that is emitting this toxin that is turning the city into lizards, and he puts the serum in it, and everybody begins to change back. But the lizard gets up and he kills Captain Stacy. And as he's laying there, he says to him, he's like, "You're gonna." He goes, "I was wrong about you, Peter. The city needs you." And he says, "But you're gonna make a lot of enemies." And he says, "I want you to promise me something, Peter." And he goes, "What's that?" And he's like, "Leave Gwen out of it." And meaning like, don't date my daughter. You're gonna have enemies. You're gonna put her life at risk. And so he promises, and he doesn't go to Captain Stacy's funeral, and that breaks, her heart. And but by the end of the movie, Aunt May had convinced him that he was worth it, whatever. So it was like the teacher said something to him. It's like, you don't make promises you can't keep if you're gonna be, because he said he would never be late again to class. And he goes, "Those are the best kind." And so he says that behind Gwen. He's sitting behind her, and she smiles. And in the next movie, you got to see him dealing with that, breaking that promise, and essentially, by Gwen being involved, she dies. But the cool thing is when you watch the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, which I have completely changed my tune on, at least number 1 and 2. Mary Jane, as great as much as I love Kirsten Dunst, they wrote her to be the damsel in distress. In Amazing Spider-Man, Gwen actually helped him be Spider-Man, and so when he redeems that entire movie from all the bad that was in it, MJ falls, Tom Holland swings in to save her, Green Goblin gets in the way, knocks Tom Holland Spider-Man out of the way, and immediately Andrew Garfield Spider-Man reacts, jumps down, hits the web, saves her, and then when he lands, he just starts crying because he couldn't do that for Gwen. And that was a lot, but yeah.
No, I thought it was a great redemption arc for him, and you know what? This movie touched on a whole lot of things. I laughed, I cried, I laughed and cried again.
Yeah.
There was a lot of emotions going on. So I'm not going to say I was bawling, but yeah, I definitely welled up during that part because you knew how much that meant for him. You just saw it in whatever you want to say about the actors. Whether you like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, whatever. They're all great actors in their own right, and the way that moment in Andrew Garfield, I was like, holy crap, that's a moment right there.
Yeah, and also Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield was explaining to, I think, everybody. I don't remember. He says at one point in the movie, "I quit pulling my punches."
Yeah.
I got it.
Well, that was when they all. That was the first time when they all got together, where they're essentially literally talking Tom Holland's Peter Parker off the ledge because Aunt May had just died.
Yeah.
And they all knew at what point he was, and he was not just Peter Parker. He wasn't Spider-Man. He was Rage. Yeah. He was just basically an open nerve at that point. And so, and they all kind of had their big brother moment. And yeah, Andrew Garfield was, that was very, very interesting where he said, where I stopped pulling my punches, where I stopped caring, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I can't say enough about it. And it was just nice to see, Tobey Maguire's, when he showed up, it reminded me of almost a Peter Parker from the animated series. Not from the animated series, but from the Spider-Verse movie, the animated one. Okay. I thought that was it almost it touched on that. I was like, oh, that reminds me of the cartoon.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Saturday morning cartoon that was on back in the 90s. That's what you kind of reminded me of at that point. Because that Spider-Man wasn't the geek, he was cool, and I had never known the geek version of Spider-Man.
Right. Well, and that was the funny thing. Because I was talking with one of the people that I went to go see the movie with. He was talking about the first time he saw Venom was Spider-Man 3, and I'm like, oh, you poor soul. The first time I was really introduced to Venom was through the animated series back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I was like, and those are, they're not exactly pulled straight from the comics, but pretty close.
Dude, way closer than Spider-Man 3.
Well, I was meant in general, like those storylines are almost canon from the comics. So
They are. And here's the thing about Spider-Man 3's handling of Venom. It was such a disaster that it's screwed that interpretation up of that character all the way to the Venom movie. Like, they had to just make a Venom movie.
well, and we've gone over this before. Why I didn't watch the Amazing Spider-Mans, and Spider-Man 3 is one of the reasons I didn't watch these Amazing Spider-Mans, because it left such a stench on the movies where I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Right.
I know you're trying to move on from Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3, but I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I don't need to see the whole thing again. So
Yeah. When you get a chance and you see Amazing
oh no,
Spider-Man.
now that I've seen Andrew Garfield, and I've seen bits and pieces, but I'm gonna make a point to actually sit down and go over them. But
Yeah, it's a hell of a movie, and number 2 has some really good parts to it. It's just a B minus at best.
right. So anyway, evil is vanquished, and now we got to put the universes back together. But Tom Holland's Peter Parker has one request of Doctor Strange, and that's to basically make everybody forget who he is.
If everybody forgets who Spider-Man is, then the multiverse will heal.
Right.
Yeah. What did you think about that, Patrick?
I mean, it's sad, 100%. I think everyone knows it's sad, but I thought it was. I actually kind of love it because it almost gives us like a fresh start on Spider-Man almost, because he has so much experience now. He is going to be a great Spider-Man because now he has no one that knows his identity. Pretty much, he doesn't have many villains anymore besides like Vulture and like the hint at Scorpion in like the first movie. Other than like, because he only dealt with like either the Avengers villains or like Vulture, Mysterio, which is dead, and pretty much like those 3 villains off the top of my head I can know. But I like the new suit. For story wise, I think it was a great decision. You can make so many new things out of that. Story wise, it was great.
I agree. I agree with you on that one. I think you get the fresh take on it, and you could also always develop the other villains that the other guys fought, in another way. And Spider-Man's he's like he and Batman have the greatest rogues.
Yep.
Gallery.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice way to basically wipe the slate clean, and I think they did say that Tom Holland is going to be back. They didn't say for how many. I don't know if he's going to do another trilogy or not.
He is. He? It was announced.
It wasn't announced because he's a young guy, but ask Hugh Jackman. It's a commitment to play one character for so long. So
right.
Well, and I think.
Go ahead.
I think Tom Holland said, like, I know it's in the talks and they want him to, and he wants to, but I think Tom Holland also said he's going to take a break from acting for a little bit, maybe start, a better social life, he said. But I think if we really wanted to, we could get another Tom Holland trilogy. I think he'd be more than willing to do it.
That's what I'm hearing, is that they've got another trilogy for him in the works. They consider this the end of the Home trilogy.
Right. Alrighty. So, and like I said, if you love all the different Spider-Man costumes, this is a movie for you. How many different Spider-Man costumes were there?
You had the Iron Spider. You had Tom Holland's regular Spider-Man costume. And of course, you had Andrew Garfield's, and then you had
Tobey's.
Tobey Maguire's. But then again, the treat at the end of the movie was him in a classic Spider-Man
Right.
costume.
And all right, I'm gonna nitpick again. People are calling the black and gold Spider-Man outfit. Can we just call it what it is? It's the Inside Out Batman or Spider-Man outfit.
Yes,
I was like,
that was one
what?
thing I was disappointed with.
Stop trying to church that one up. I was like, it's literally Inside Out, guys. Like, we're gonna sit here and be like, oh no, it's the black and gold. I was like, no, it's not. That is not. That's not cool. He was literally got blasted with green paint by one of his haters. Couldn't wash it out, so he turned the suit inside out, and it took Aunt May to clean it.
Oh, you just messed me right the shit up.
Yeah,
So-
I was kind of disappointed by that because there was so much hype for that suit.
Well,
There's
that's
figures on it.
Well,
There's
I saw the
everything.
figures. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then in the movie, I'm like, it's Inside Out.
Yep, that's it. Yep, it's just Inside Out. I was very disappointed by that.
Wow.
Sorry, Adam.
No, I mean you're right though.
So, needless to say,
like-
I'm
it's
not.
like a-
I'm not gonna be picking up that figure.
No.
Yeah, no, me neither now, man.
That's like Geraldo saying we got Al Capone's safe. They open it up and there's nothing there.
Oh, it's a freaking cardboard box with a middle finger. Thanks, Geraldo. So, all right, guys, let's wrap it up. But we're gonna wrap it up with, let's go out of 10. So I know, Patrick, you said what, 11 out of 10.
Yes, but I still have my, now that you brought that one up, and I have like one more thing that I kind of
Oh, go
wish was
ahead.
better.
Ending thoughts
Was-
by Patrick.
So I liked it what they did, but movie score, it was great, right? Overall, it was great to me. And there was one tidbit of Tobey Maguire's like little theme in there from his movies. I wish there was more from both, because literally a dream to me before seeing that movie was the opening title being the music from Tobey Maguire's opening.
Right.
Would have been awesome. But I felt like the score could have been slightly more like emotional at parts too, because in Infinity War was probably one of the closest times I've been to crying. Probably one of the closest times I've been to crying, because of the score when Gamora died.
Sure.
That was heartbreaking. The music just boosted that. Logan, I almost didn't cry at the end of that. Then Johnny Cash's "When the Man Comes Around" started
Yeah.
crying.
Oh,
So
yeah.
score is a lot to emotion to me, and I feel like they didn't truly hit home with the score, but it was still good.
Oh, that's a
That
good
was
call.
just my one other thing.
Good call. Adam.
Put Kirsten Dunst in the movie and it's perfect.
It's
I
fu-
still-
it's so funny because she was the one that I realized confirmed the rumors, because in an interview she literally said they're calling everybody back but me. I was
Right.
like, oh, come on. I was like, golly, she ain't doing a whole lot nowadays, is she? Throw her bone.
Yeah, she's got something going on right now with like Kristen Stewart and a couple of the other women. I don't remember what it was, but Kristen Stewart's got that. It's in theaters now. That Diana movie. I want to see it just because she looks just like Princess Diana. So
Yeah, but I was like, if you're gonna have, I mean, you got more than one Peter Parker. You can have more than one MJ in the movies, right?
yeah, well, yeah, you can have Mary Jane and Michelle Jones.
There you go.
You want to know how you kill? You want to know how you kill Spider-Man No Way Home? You put creepy James Franco in it, who tries to seduce 15 and 16-year-old girls.
Oh no, we went there. Oh no.
Well, I gotta defend you, Kirsten, because he wasn't in it either.
That's
So,
well, I think that was better call. So,
yeah,
Yes.
so out of 10, Adam, what do you got?
I got a 10. I got
10
a 10
out of 10. It's funny. Literally just before we fired up here, I went on to IMDb and I gave it a 9. I almost gave it a 10, but
Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with it. 9 is badass.
no,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit picky, but it's a 9 out of 10. It's a home run. It's a must see. It's a go see. Go tell all your friends. Go check it out. You know, grab anybody who doesn't know anything about Spider-Man, take them, show them. So,
Yes, do it because you're gonna learn a lot.
yeah. One quick thing, and we were as we were going over IMDb, so we were talking about the director, and let's see here, Mr. John Watts. So John Watts, he directed the entire Home trilogy, and we were just happened to pull up his filmography for his director, and at the top of his director credits, Adam, it's got a Fantastic Four in pre-production.
I haven't heard anything about this. I've complained that I haven't heard anything about this. So, excuse me. I mean, IMDb is pretty credible, though, right?
As credible, it's my source. It's my source besides Google. So
Yeah. I mean, so whose mind is blown about that? I am.
I'm pretty excited, and especially if he's handling it, I think it's going to be in good hands because a lot of times, you know, especially you hear about, oh, this movie is being made. Who's directing it? Oh no! So,
Oh
but
oh my god!
but like I said, we were. I was just kind of going over his filmography because I didn't know very much about him at all, and you know he's directed some music videos. And I scroll at the top, I was like Fantastic Four, and I'm like, sounds good to me, man. So I'm excited.
You bring up a point where you're like, who's directing it? Oh no! I was on one of those Masters of the Universe Facebook pages today, and they were talking about I don't know, I can't even remember now. They're like, so this guy should direct a new Masters of the Universe movie, and somebody chimes in and they say, oh, so mad. They said, well, for the zaniness and the craziness, it can only be Taika Waititi. I was like, shut up.
No. No. Oh, please no.
No.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. I'm in.
Yeah,
No, but
I'm not in. No, I'm not in. No.
Not at all. That would be a nightmare, man.
Oh, yes, it would be.
So, but all right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us. You are welcome back anytime, sir. Adam, any final words?
No, man, this was a good movie. All I can say is I back Nick up on this one. Go see it. And it probably are if it's doing $600 million. But man, I mean, I love that. I love this movie. I really do. I love it.
Well, and it really strikes at the heart of what a lot of people have been saying, like, oh, well, the box office hasn't been doing it so well because of, well, pandemic or comic book movie. People are over comic book movies. I disagree.
I do too. They're over bad ones.
Yeah, I say it's crazy what happens when you actually give comic book fans, movie fans, what they actually want.
Right.
We'll come out. We'll support it. Just don't give us crap because we're sick and tired of eating crap.
I'll stand on the mountain of Batman v Superman when it came out as a theatrical cut. I was like, oh, I mean, none of it was good. And then and somebody slipped me like a bootleg copy of it, before it actually officially came out.
Right.
And me and my buddy Tony, who's a crazy Superman fan, we had talks. I was like, was it good? I don't know, because we wanted to like it. So we started watching it, and Tony just pipes up one time. He goes, "This is a good movie up until right now, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good movie. It's about to turn a corner or two here." And then you watch the Ultimate Edition, and that's it. That's the producers. That's the Hollywood getting in the way of somebody who can make a damn good movie. There are things in that theatrical cut. Batman's branding people. Why? I don't know. He's just doing it. All the while, the KG Beast is going into the stupid prisons. And he's paying people to kill the people with the branding. That's not in the theatrical cut.
Right. So at the end of the day, Hollywood, give the people what they want.
Yeah. And don't make it fan service either.
Right.
Because that's not the same thing. What they want is the good story. Go to the source material, trust the source material, alter it where you need to. Don't alter it where you get a brand new idea and you think you're smart, because you're not smart. You only know about money.
That's right. So, all right, boys, we're going to wrap it up. Woo! That was a good one. Patrick, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for having
Patrick.
me.
And Patrick,
Thank you for having me.
now we dance. That's it, boys.